Hey guys, HuShang here. Welcome to another HuShang tutorials. In this guide, we're going to be looking at Zest's 4-gate adept build. And this is a build that's pretty hyper aggressive, just like the partying 4-gate build we looked at the other day. But this one is going to be against Zerg, and it's using adepts. And we get to put on quite a bit of pressure, but then still transition back into a normal game. It's kind of a nice medium where we get to attack quite a bit, but it's still a macro build. So to start out, we're going to be placing our pylon down here at the wall. If you're high level, you'll already know this, but if you're a new player, you definitely want to be walling against Zerg. Pretty important stuff to be placing your pylon here first. And then we're going to be grabbing our gate on 16 and scouting.
Must construct additional pylons.
Back at home, we just chrono boosted. We're going to drop a gas on 17. And then first thing we're going to do is saturate our mineral line. And then you're just going to rally to gas. And that way we're getting a little more minerals than gas. And this is one of those builds that doesn't use a lot of gas. A lot of the Stargate builds, you're going to get 2 guys on gas right away, and mine a little more. But since this build is basically only minerals, we're going to mine more of that. Next up, we're going to go for a 20 Nexus. Probably a lot of you want to skip ahead here. You already know the opening. Let's grab a 20 Cyber after that. Just standard ZVZ opening. 21 gas, and then a 22 pylon. And it's important that you place this pylon where you want to hide your tech. So on this map, well, any map, I think you should just angle it away from the entrance. So maybe up here. And what that does is, maybe over here is fine as well. What this does is it forces the Overlord to commit. If you put your tech anywhere, maybe over here, then they can see that and still come back to safety. So it's important to put your tech more towards the back. They could fly an Overlord in over here, but there's some reasons they shouldn't do that. Okay, adept and warp gate. You're going to chrono the adept. You're also going to be scouting for any cheese, so we're only doing this build if they're macroing. I'll go over some scouting stuff in another video. Probably that'll be the next one, if not the one after. After the adept, you're going to want to make a stalker, and you should probably chrono this if your masters are higher, because if they try to slip lings around, they can get by before the stalker's out. So if you chrono it, it'll be done for those lings, and then they're not going to see what you're doing, which is not imperative with this build, but it's pretty nice to deny scouting with any build. Adept's going to go out and just check if they're cheesing you. Again, we'll talk about this in another video about how to scout, but this adept should go out and scout, especially if you're diamond or higher and you're starting to work on your scouting. Then this guy's really important to make sure you're not getting cheesed. Let me go back a sec because I missed the Twilight. So the Twilight's going to start right after your Stalker. So adept, then you're going to go Stalker right after that, and then you're going to throw down the Twilight. Oh, I actually threw it down early, but this doesn't make your build faster, so there's no real reason to do this. So you can go Stalker first, and then the Adept's going to Scout, and then the next building we're going to get is the Robo. So Twilight and then Robo. Of course, behind all this, we're keeping the probes producing, and we're not spending any chrono boost actually. So the only chrono boost I spent was on the Adept and maybe the Stalker. But all this other chrono boost we're saving because we're going to run a chrono boost the Glaives and also the War Prism. And then you can just keep producing till you have 12 at this base. So that'll be 34, I think. My math checks out. At about 3 minutes, you're going to drop another gate. You see I'm setting up for that here. You don't need to get it this fast with most builds, but with this build, we're going to use this gate to do a warp in. So you want to get this one on time. And then behind that, you're going to grab Glaives. You're going to make another Adept. we're going to try to build up to 4. So we have one that's scouting. We're going to make one more from the gateway, and then when the warp gate finishes, we're going to warp in 2 for a total of 4. And that's going to be, oh, excuse me. That's going to be a really nice number because those guys can all fit in the warp prism. And then we can fly across and warp in some more. Okay, so we've almost got up to 12 here. These guys shouldn't be queued up. I'll probably cancel those in a second. But we should stop at 12, just like this. And then we're going to throw down 2 more gates before our warp prism. It's pretty tight, so try to sneak these bad boys in. And then after these gates go down, you're going to make a warp prism. You can see there's a small gap there. You're going to chrono boost these as much as you can. Make sure you save one for the warp prism, and then you can just spend any extra ones you want on the adept glaives. After that, double pylon. There's another variation of this build right here. So if you want to go DT with this, you can throw down a 3rd gas right now. But if you want to do the normal version, then it's just gasless here. Okay, after this pylon finishes, you're going to warp in. And then you should have exactly 4 to move out with your warp prism. There we go, 4 adept, jump in the warp prism, run across the map. And then behind this, you're going to need quite a few pylons, so remember that every time you do a warp in, you probably want 1, maybe 2 pylons sometimes. So you need exactly 1 for the 4 adepts, but then you also need some for probes. So try to be really ahead of your pylons, because if you get supply blocked with this build, you're in a ton of trouble. It's going to be a lot weaker. Behind the warp prism, I also made an observer, and we're going to use that to clear creep as we're doing this adept attack. So it's like a double combo. We get the pressure Zerg, we get to maybe kill a bunch of drones, we get to clear creep. And that's why this build is the most popular build at the moment. It's just so good in so many ways. Okay, so this first warp in should be at 4:30, so you should have 8 adept now. And then you don't want to let the shade go through. Maybe in like the perfect situation you would want to, but if there's any units here, and like if there's lings and you let this shade finish, there's not enough surface area for the adepts to trade well. So if you go in with 8, it's not quite enough, and they can hold your push with a lot less units than they should have to. So we're going to warp in 4 more. You should warp in these by about 5 if you want to use that as a benchmark. So 12 adepts by 5 minutes. And then this next shade is the one that you can let finish. So in the meantime, you could be harassing this base, the drones, the queens, threatening to kill it. If they let you kill it, then obviously you're really far ahead. So they kind of have to come back here and defend a little bit. And that's how you pull them out of position. So we're shading in. They're maybe following at this point. You're a little bit ahead of them. And if they chase too far, you can just leave your adepts here and maybe do another warp in. Or see if you can kill the hatch with just these ones and get out. And if they're too late moving this way, or if you just want to go for it, then you can let the shade finish about here on the ramp, which has a lot of nice, like it's a nice choke point. So you should be able to trade super well against the Zerglings right here. And then you can run around and cause chaos, kill a bunch of drones, and then transition behind this. So yeah, this is Zest's 4-gate Glaives build. It's a little bit advanced, I guess, but try it out. It's a pretty powerful build. Man, my throat today. It's a pretty powerful build, so you should find a lot of value with these. But it can be tricky, so it's important that if you're not a high-level player, you're not over microing these. It's more important to focus on the transition because they're going to be forced to make a ton of units with this build. And so if your transition is not tight, like if you're not making immortals right away and continuously producing, then it's pretty easy to die to a follow-up. In fact, I died to like 2 follow-ups today. But it is holdable, and you just have to have a really tight macro transition. Okay, cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.